How much of medical intuition is actually science and how much of it is things that we haven't discovered yet?
We intuitives enter into the energy field of the person. So I'm picking up all kinds of information that's just in the energy, and then I also go into the physical body. Usually I'm called to wherever the problem is.
Emotions that aren't really healed or looked at actually manifest as physical illnesses.
If we feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, that's responsibility, and that will tend to go into the shoulder and inside of the shoulder joint.
Sometimes we don't realize the power that we have of just creating instantly a wall that nobody can penetrate. That's why the term of you are standing in your own way.
People just think dreams are just nothing, but they are everything because we're just as alive in our dreams as we are in our waking time. His father had heart transplant, and his father's personality changed. He suddenly knew everything about a city he had never been in, and he could drive through the city. And it's that memory of the heart of the young man that he received the heart from. I grew up thinking it was natural to be aware of our deceased relatives, and the deceased relatives come and speak to us and give us a message.
Is there anybody who's deceased and who's connected to me who is in the room with me right now? Welcome to another episode of Soul Safar with Bhaav. In this special two-part series, I've had the opportunity to speak with an international guest for the first time ever. Joining us is Tina Zion, who is a medical intuitive and a world-renowned author. In this part, we've introduced you to the world of intuition. You know that gut feeling or the sixth sense that we usually speak about? You learn how to potentially heal yourself one day by developing your own intuitive abilities. This episode serves as a foundation to the next part, and that is why I encourage you to watch it till the end. I hope you learn something from it. Hi, Tina. I'm so glad to have you on Soul Safar with Bhaav, and it's an absolute honor to speak with you today. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on this episode with me.
Sure.
So, I'm going to quickly jump into it, Tina. There's a term actually that everybody uses very frequently nowadays. And you are a medical intuitive. You teach people how to connect with their higher intelligence. And because the word intuition is used so commonly and frequently nowadays, I'd love for our audience to know what is your take on intuition?
Actually, no one's ever asked me that before. Um, I always sense that uh, every human being is very, very intuitive, and but most people think it's a special gift, and it's no gift at all. We are meant to be intuitive. Intuition feels to me, like we notice the very subtle information in life around us. We are in a living universe, and we are a living being in a living universe, and the universe is always communicating with us. So it's a matter of us noticing the communication, noticing the information. And to me, this is what intuition is. But so many people think they don't have this, but everyone has this. I have no special gifts at all.
Since we are talking about communication, and I know it's going to tie into the topic of medical intuition on a larger level, what are the different ways that the universe, according to you, if you could list a few, obviously it's difficult to list down all of them, but what are the different ways that the universe, in which the universe communicates with us?
Oh, I love that. Thank you. There are I actually began to watch this and notice what my my mentoring clients say, notice what I am aware of in the world. And I actually came up with 18, really 18 ways that the universe sends us information and gives us information. So, one of the ways I would say are dreams. When we dream, people think it is just our brain, just kind of firing away and, thinking. Well, the dream is we process our life that we've had that day, but much of our dreams are information coming to us from the universe. And that's where people just think, oh, that was just a dream. It is nothing. But truly, our guides can come to us, speak to us. Again, it's another pathway of information coming to us. So people just think dreams are just nothing, but they are everything because we're just as alive in our dreams as we are in our waking time. So so much happens. So much happens. Nature. So nature around us, animals, birds, everything in the on the earth around us is speaking to us as well. So, for instance, I was working with a woman, and I think this was on the telephone, and in my office, and I heard a sound at the window, and it was just kept going, tap, 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 tap at the window. So I turned and looked, and in the US, we have a brilliant red bird called a cardinal, and this cardinal was on my window and was just hitting the window like crazy, just, tap, 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 tap. And so I finally said to my client, "Does a cardinal mean anything to you?" And do you know what she said? She began to cry, and she said this was the most important bird for my mother who uh, died just months ago. And I said, "She is signaling to you through the bird." I have goosebumps saying that. Right. And so, yeah, yeah. So that's one of the pathways. I would also say for everybody to notice repeating patterns in our life. And when we keep finding ourselves, oh, I don't know, um, in maybe painful relationships, or we keep finding ourselves doing the same thing that harms us or makes us sad, when would ask all of your viewers to notice what are your repeating patterns and for themselves. And if we have a pattern, especially one that's kind of hard to have, then the universe is signaling to us that we have another opportunity to heal that. When most people just feel like they get more caught up in the negative, no, it's the most precious time for someone to realize, wait, I keep doing this. What am I to learn from it? And so that would be another very, very important pathway.
Soon after my partner passed, I started seeing repeating numbers a lot. Started with uh, number plates, car number plates. I would just randomly look out of the window and I'd see a 111, 555, 333. And at one point, I was just like, this is not a coincidence that this is happening so often. Like I'd pick up my phone to send someone a message and the message would get delivered at 3:33, or I'd see 1111. So repeating numbers is another way that the universe communicates with you. I went a little ahead and I told myself, I said, you know what? If I am not imagining this and this is not my mind that's overthinking, I started asking for specific combination of numbers. I was like, show me 1433, which were the last four digits of my partner's phone number. And I realized that when I actually needed it, when I was really at the depth of my despair or my grief was really coming up, or there was something that I needed to work through and I needed an assurance, I would see a 1433. So it was not when I wanted it, it was when I truly needed it. And I'm like, this is not a coincidence. And then that sent me a loop of asking for um different combinations that meant a lot only to me, and I knew what they meant, and it's amazing.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And if I may, let me share a story from one of my clients also, that she was driving down a highway with, a road with many lanes in the road. It was a huge highway. And she felt like she wasn't good enough to have the universe speak to her. And she felt like she just, didn't really believe that she deserved to be part of this and to do the things I was teaching her. And so she's driving along and she said, if I really deserve this, if you're really there for me and it's okay, um, show me a purple vehicle. Now in the US, there are purple vehicles, cars or and things, but I'm serious that immediately she saw a truck come up in the lane next to her, and it went fast, and then it went right in front of her. It was a huge purple truck, a very big purple truck, and on the back of it in big letters, it says, "We are here for you."
Wow.
Is that amazing? I don't know how she did this, but she took a photo while she's driving, took a photo of this, so I even have a photo that she sent me and told me and she knew that was a message to her that, "Oh, I do deserve to be intuitive, and I do deserve to learn about these things." So, look at our beautiful stories.
I also feel that fear and doubt only crop up so that you can ground more into acceptance and allowance. Otherwise, you just, keep circling in resistance. For people to understand, I hope it's going to make sense to them that fear and doubt only comes up so that you can accept and allow and actually make that journey through.
Now, let me share something with you for maybe, I will say, 3 months now. For the last 3 months, I am hearing the word allow comes to me 5, 6, 7 times a day, and I said, "Okay, okay, I will bring this word up in my classes," and now you're bringing it up, and so look how important this must be because they were I keep getting allow, 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 and I think, "Okay, I must say this in my classes," and see, you said it.
I guess this word is supposed to travel out not just to the people in your classes, but actually to people whoever hears this podcast or, through them reaches out to other people. They'll start using the word lots more. And that's how the chain goes on.
Well, and I stand in front of many people and I will say, "I cannot make any of you become intuitive." It is about you allowing yourself to notice the world around you.
So, Tina, I know that, you know, you're a really renowned medical intuitive. You practice medical intuition. You've written 3 books about medical intuition as well. For people who don't know what medical intuition is, if I have to come out there and ask you, how would you explain medical intuition to an absolute newcomer?
Medical intuition, many people think it's simply and only about the physical body, but it is so much more. It is about a medical intuitive assisting their client to find, to discover about the struggles of the physical body, but it's also just as equal about our emotions. It's just equal as for our thoughts. Also, it is not just the physical body, because in fact, when we have an illness or a struggle in some place in our body, uh, I I always find a deep, kind of heavy, maybe negative emotion underneath that. And so to me, it's not just the physical body. It is our thinking, it is our history, it's our emotions, it's our what's coming from our ancestors. It's everything. It's everything about each of us as an individual human.
This corroborates the notion that emotions that aren't really healed or looked at actually manifest as physical illnesses. Would you say that's correct?
Say that more negative emotions, what we would think is negative emotions, like judgment, judging ourself, being very critical of ourselves, deep sorrow. It's those kind of emotions are the energy. Everything is energy. And so those emotions are very slow. The energy, the vibration is very slow and dense and kind of sticky, up like sticky. And so those kind of emotions will will flows through our bodies, good emotions and positive emotions and negative. But those heavy, sticky emotions tend to tend to build up in certain areas in our body, and that will lead to illness. When someone would come to me as a for medical intuition, that we intuitives just calm down, and I put myself out of the way. And so I just allow the information, because everything is information, even our own physical body is full of information. And so I just pause and allow their energy to give me information. And so I will notice, oh, I am pulled to this person's right shoulder. And this is shoulders and the sides of necks, for example, um, is where we hold deep responsibility. If we feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, that's responsibility. And that will tend to go into the shoulder and inside of the shoulder joint. So that's just only one example. And I don't have to be in the same room. Almost every day I have clients from all over the world on Zoom now. And so that's really what I do is I say, well, to my client, well, I am pulled to your right shoulder. And they will say, yes, I'm having trouble with my right shoulder. And I will say, this is underneath there is you are folding so much responsibility, and they will know exactly what this means. Things like that. Or the stomach. I could talk about all the body sections and what the thoughts and emotions tend to congregate, tend to build up there. So, but this is a good example, I think.
Just for me to understand, as a medical intuitive, are you entering anybody's energy field while you're scanning them?
Yes. Yes. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. When I stretch out to wherever that person is, India or wherever, I stretch out, and Uh, I only do this with permission, so we can talk about that too if you would like. But with permission, I stretch out, and first, we intuitives enter into the energy field of the person. And so, in the energy field, I will pick up, oh my goodness, maybe a past life, a moment in a past life that's causing the struggle. Or I'll pick up something that happened that morning to the client or something like this. And then so I'm picking up all kinds of information that's just in the energy. But then and I tell the client whatever I'm getting. And then I also go into the physical body, which is what I was talking about here with the shoulder. Yeah, so it's both. It's scanning, and I tend to go head to toe, but usually I'm pulled to wherever the problem is. And so many times in one session, we cannot do the whole body.
There are two questions that have popped in my head. The first one is, why do you need permission from somebody to enter their energy bodies?
Are you saying why? What permission?
Permission important because I know of people who, when they discover this ability within themselves, just to try it out, they just scan somebody without that person's knowledge or permission. And that's why I'm asking this question, because it's very important for people to know the importance of seeking permission.
First of all, I think there's really maybe nothing more intimate than a medical intuitive going into someone's energy field, but then also into their physical body. And so I must ask for permission. The other thing, permission does many things. What I've noticed is that when I ask a client for permission, it sends respect. See, I'm sending them a signal that I'm respecting them deeply. And many times people will say, "Well, yes, so you have permission. I made this appointment. And of course you have permission." I said, "No, I must ask anyway. Is it okay to begin?" And then sometimes, if I'm working on the shoulder and I'm pulled to someone's heart, I will say, getting pulled to your heart. And sometimes I even ask for permission again. May I move from the shoulder to your heart? Things like this. So it shows respect, but the other thing I noticed is it relaxes the person. They think, "Oh, she's asking permission. This is okay." And so I noticed that they just relax like that. And that's important because when sometimes I can't get anything from a person and I will say, Are you afraid?" And yes, I'm very afraid. And I said, "Well, you've put up an energy wall I can't even get through." And I said, "Would you just notice that and just allow yourself to remove the wall because you're not losing control. You're in charge. I cannot get through your wall." And so I ask you for permission for you to put down the wall, and then I can maybe help you.
Yeah. If only people realize how much they are in control of their own energies, life will become so much more easier for everybody. Sometimes we don't realize the power that we have uh, in terms of just controlling our energies, of just creating instantly a wall that nobody can penetrate.
Nobody, no, no one can.
And then we feel, I'm blocked, I don't know why my blessings aren't coming through. But you don't realize that that's why the term of you are standing in your own way.
Yes. Yes, that's excellent example. We're the only ones that get into in our way. We're the only ones. The universe is there for us. We are the only ones that put up the walls. Yes.
But also, I wonder, if I don't seek your permission, do I get karmically bound to you as well in some way? If I do enter your body, what do you think about that?
Oh, I have to give that some thought. Um, to me, it is like invading. So it is creating a moment of no respect. So yes, I can see that this might cause more of a karmic thing. Yes, I can see that. I've not thought of this. So that was a good question. I'm so caught up in teaching permission. I never thought about your question. So it was a beautiful question.
Thank you. Since you brought up the heart, you mentioned that from the shoulder you're drawn to the heart. I actually saw a reel about this a few days back on Instagram. They actually said that your heart also has brain cells. Your heart remembers. So it's not like your brain cells are only in your brain. Your heart has cells that remembers. So when you have a heartbreak, your heart remembers, and that's why maybe it closes its energy fields when you find another potential lover or something like that. That fear comes in not from anywhere else, but because there are cells in your heart that remember. Do, what's Yeah, you agree?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And this is new information. So this is beautiful that you found that wherever you found it on the internet, that the heart, they've discovered, has the same brain cells as the cortex in the brain. And so our heart remembers, our heart has the ability to think, and especially that memory. And I have stories, or at least one good story, of how that happened with a dear friend of mine. His father had heart transplant, and his father's personality changed. The things he wanted to eat, his favorite food changed. He was a truck driver, and he suddenly knew everything about a city he had never been in, and he could drive through the city, and he had never been there. His life changed. Yeah, so that's that memory of the heart of the young man that he received the heart from.
Wow. That's
I know. Well, and let me share with your listeners too. There is a group of scientists who have spent spending their life studying the heart, and they've measured the heart energy field and how far out. And I think they have been able to measure with instruments, I think 10 feet from the physical body of the heart energy. And it's the name of this group, and people can Google it also, is Heart Math, MATH. So it's Heart Math, and they're very, very well-known scientists that are studying this. Yeah.
that's amazing.
So you came across a wonderful piece of information about the heart.
As a medical intuitive, can you only see where the energy blocks are or where the problem areas are in the physical body, or you can actually heal them, actually clear the blocks? Is that possible?
Yes, it's very possible. And that's I really want people to know that this is more than just giving your client information. This is also bringing a change to the client. And sometimes it takes more than one session. It depends on how dense and how old the problem has been. So maybe it takes more than one session. But I actually work uh, with very special guides in the spirit realm, and I work as a team, and they work as a team with me, thank goodness. And so I don't use my own energy to build up another person, because again, over 25 years of doing this, I would have no energy. So I work with the universal team of healers to work with that person.
The term medical intuition is actually a very ironic term, because
Mm.
medic is science and intuition is something that science doesn't believe in. And they've now come together. So, how much of medical intuition is actually science, and how much of it is, I would say, things that we haven't discovered yet?
Oh, I think there's so much we have not discovered yet. It's not even measurable, I don't think, of what we don't know yet. But this is how precious, how special this is. For instance, I receive, and so will other people when they do this level of work, to receive so much validation. So I will say to a client, "Oh, you are very low in calcium. Oh, you are very low in vitamin D. D is dog." And they say, "Oh, my medical labs, I just had my blood drawn and I had laboratory tests on my blood, and this is exactly what the lab tests say." And I think, "Oh, I love that. Do you see that people, when they do this level of work, they will hear so much validation of how real this is. We are truly doing this." And when medicine says, yes, the same thing that an intuitive says. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I also know that apart from a medical intuitive and a psychic, you are also considered worldwide as somebody who teaches about the spirit realms. A lot of people wonder about spirit realms, like after they've passed, are there different realms that they go through? I'm not going to miss this opportunity to ask a specialist about what are the different spirit realms that one experiences after they drop their physical bodies.
Well, I am known as a medium who communicates also with the deceased. I didn't know if you wanted to bring that up, but yes, I do that, and that also I grew up with this awareness that when we leave our body, we are still very alive. We are just in just our spirit form, our electrical energy form, and so I grew up also with, my family were also mediums that we all thought it was natural, and I grew up thinking it was natural to be aware of our deceased relatives, and the deceased relatives come, and speak to us and give us a message or and things like that. So this was very, very natural for me also, so I do teach this as well. Actually, I'm writing my book number 6 right now about mediumship and about, helping the deceased. So, I don't know if I can answer your question briefly, but when we leave our physical body at the time of death, we still have many, many choices because, like right now, every second of our life when we are alive in the physical body, we have a choice every second of our life. I'm finding, because I've been doing this so long, that even in our spirit body, we still have choices. And sometimes I think the humans have too many choices because then we get into a mess. But so at the time of leaving our body, we have a choice of, crossing over into the higher level of awareness. And many people call it crossing over into the light. But I come across many deceased people who are not aware that they have died, and I come across many people who are very confused if they died because they were very, very sick. Sometimes they are still around on the earth plane carrying that illness. And again, it has so much to do with choice. So it becomes very, very complicated in my awareness of it anyway. And so I thought, well, I need to write a book about this. And so I have found myself over the years also helping these deceased people to actually cross over. And I use a team. I'm not taking them, to the light. I'm also using a team in the universe to work with me to help the deceased. I don't know if that's where what you were asking, but that's what was coming through for me to say.
And I don't know this information, and I don't know why I'm drawn to say it to you, but a choice is also basically harnessing universal energy to reroute your direction in a physical form or in a non-physical form. That is why when I feel, sometimes when energies which are without a form or a body, what people call ghosts or spirits, who've not really crossed over and made the choice because they may not have had enough energy to make that choice to cross over.
Yes,
So
I agree.
I don't know where this is coming from, and I haven't read this anywhere, but I was so drawn to saying that basically a choice is just your ability to harness universal energy and take a different direction.
That's a beautiful way to describe it. That's lovely. That makes so much sense because everything is energy, everything. And, I always say to everyone, a deceased person is just as alive as we are. That's how I see them. And if a deceased person, like sometimes I will be teaching an individual on Zoom here, and their deceased person comes in, I will say, your deceased person has come in, and I'm thinking, now I have two clients. I have my living client But then when their deceased family member comes forward to speak to them, I have also another client. So I see them as two living clients all at the same time.
I have
So they're not oh, so they're not scary. This is very real. They tell me to tell the living person certain things. The living person says, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Well, because the spirit person is telling me these things." And so, again, validation of how real this is.
and I have goosebumps because I don't know. I want to ask you, um, is there anybody who's deceased and who's connected to me who is in the room with me right now?
I have not been focused on that, so give me just a moment. For me, let me say this to your listeners. For you to ask me that, you are already aware. I think that someone is there. In fact, maybe two or three people are there for you, and they are supporting you. I see two over here. Let's see, that would be on your left, two people, and one over here. Oh, okay, your partner. And here's what they're showing me is their heart is so big and so full and so happy that you're doing this work. These over here seems like more like grandparents, but not recent grandparents, maybe great grandparents far back are over here. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just very overwhelmed right now, man.
But what they're showing, I don't hear words yet, so they're not speaking to me. But over here, but they're all three of them are showing me this huge pink light. Pink is about love from the heart. Um, all three are showing me the same pink energy. They also want me to tell you the grandparents. Um, I'm gonna start crying. Very much love your partner who's passed. But I only speak of this because you already brought it up in our talk today. But
Thank you for this, Tina. Thank you. I was very, very drawn to ask you this question. I don't know why.
there's so much acceptance. They want me to take this moment. Um, if you question that they would accept what you're doing, they're deeply in the belief because they're just as alive as we are right now. And I keep hearing the word, this is how it works. I keep hearing the word, we accept you deeply. This is meant to be. I'm
Oh my God. I have been asking this question in
That's
my
why
head.
it came on.
Recently I've been asking this question with regards to something in my life. If they accept this new direction that I'm taking.
You've been using that word? That's why they're giving me that word. See, I didn't know this. That's that validation. That again tells me that what I do must be real because I keep hearing that word and they are shining their heart energy. Oh, they're also saying this is why you wanted to talk about the organ of the heart energy.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It makes absolute sense to me.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you thank you so much for doing this for me, Tina. Really, like, okay, I'm going to snap out of this because uh,
Take
uh
your time. No, I think we should take your time.
and if this isn't real time validation, for people to know that energy exists beyond form, and they communicate with us and they find a way to communicate with us, and how they direct us very gracefully towards a question that we need to ask because we need to get an answer. This has happened in real time. I didn't come prepared to ask this question.
And I was not prepared for you to ask me to do this, so but there it is.
What is also amazing that I'm noticing about you is you've been doing this for decades. You've worked with thousands of people, and still, this sort of validation that comes your way, you add it to your arsenal. You're not who says, I don't need the validation. I've done this 1,000 times. You, it's almost like as human beings, because this is what the mind does, that it needs validation at every point that, oh, am I still being able to do this? Am I? So it's so natural for somebody who's just starting off and somebody who's a specialist. That's the human mind. That's the condition of the human mind. And so I'm going to go back to the question that I asked you for our audience, that, how do they calm their fears and doubts and the need for validation? You don't need to do anything about it. Just keep it to the side. It's like that elephant in the room that needs to be fed every now and then. And the universe will make sure that it gives you all the food and fodder to feed that elephant and calm him down for a bit. Oh, the elephant is on this side of.
Yeah, Bill, but we were sneaking at it is.
I'm going to come to the last two questions that I want to ask you for this session, Tina. And I feel that I can go on and ask you. We can do 5 sessions right now because you have so much knowledge. But I know that you've written 3 books on medical intuition, and you've written 2 books on Reiki healing, on science of Reiki. What are the other ways that you teach people to hone into their own intuitive abilities? Because I'm sure a lot of people, once they listen to this podcast, they'll want to learn medical intuition, how to sharpen their intuitive abilities. So what else? How else do you teach people?
Hmm. Well, like I said, I don't do readings and healings anymore, but I teach one to one. And I also teach on Zoom classes so that people from other countries can join in, and then also live in person. And I want to speak about one of the medical intuition books. I'm doing this because the my guides are bringing this up. Is that um, I was told to write a book about healing ourself. See, the other 2 medical intuition books about being a practitioner of this and doing this for others, but I kept hearing I must write a book for people to work on themselves, to heal themselves. And so that one is Be Your Own Medical Intuitive. And they want me to emphasize that to people. It's we must heal ourselves equal to what we do for others, because we must maintain our own health. And because I've been doing this for so long, um, intuitives, psychics, mediums tend to be ill because they don't take care of themselves very much. So some of your listeners, I think, are already practitioners of energy work. They must heal themselves equal to what they work with others.
You know what is amazing is that was my second question. I was going to close with the question of, can you actually heal yourself? Learn medical intuition to heal yourself. Because share this. I have a friend who doesn't know she's a medical intuitive, and she mentioned this to me a few days back. She's very highly diabetic. Her sugar levels are really high, because of which her kidneys have given way. So what she said to me just in passing the other day, and I was speaking with her, she said, I don't know. I just sit down and meditate every day. And she's been at home. She's not been going to work. So she said every day she's just been looking into her own body and sending healing energy to her kidneys. And actually, this is the absolute truth that after 3 months of doing this, when she went and tested herself again, in her medical reports, her kidneys are now functioning 45% better than they were 3 months back. And it has,
I'm amazed.
yeah. And she doesn't know she's a medical intuitive. But my question was again directed in that, was going in that direction, that can you actually heal yourself in real time and have that corroborated by science? And yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. And one of the things with diabetes, if I may address that, oftentimes people that have diabetes, the a thought and emotion underneath that diagnosis, the thought and emotion is life is not as sweet as I thought it would be. So I must hold on to my sweetness because life around me is harsh or not kind and things like that. So that's part of the thought and emotion underneath that particular diagnosis. And so they hold on to the sweetness, which makes their the sugar in their body rise up higher and higher.
Could it
So you might bring that up with her.
could it also be that I'm not worth the sweetness of life? There's
Yes.
going to be no sweetness pouring in. So let me hold on to this, my sweetness. And that could be another reason. It's not going to come from outside because I'm not worthy of it. So whatever I have, let me hold it inside me. And then the sugar levels rise progressively.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
So then there's also a self worth issue to handle right there. Wow.
Yes.
I can continue speaking with you, Tina. It's amazing.
Mhm.
I'm so grateful for this knowledge. And I really, really feel that we should do another session. But
Would love to.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with me and our viewers and listeners. And yeah, all I can feel is immense, immense gratitude. Thank you so much, Tina.
I was so excited to meet with you, and this was so flowing and so lovely. Thank you. Thank you.
To be honest, before I shot this episode, I was really nervous because I had never interviewed anybody on Zoom. But by the end of the episode, I was so sure there was so much to take away from it. Watch this space for the second part of this series because now healing has a face.